SEO world. This is Kimberly and Connor Tracy.
Hi guys.
With Big Red SEO, coming again for a weekly Friday recap. We're just going to tag a couple of people in this so they can make sure that we know that they know that they know that we know that we're live, if that makes sense. Good old technology and such. But hey, we are coming at you with a couple updates regarding search engine optimization as well as marketing. We've had a really busy, kind of cool, crazy week. So I have a list of things, and I know Connor always has a list of things in his phone and in his head and so forth. But one thing that I wanted to do is a little bit different is I'm actually going to throw this on my personal page, and if anybody has any marketing questions, go ahead and ask them in the chat comments below, and we'll kind of try to answer them as we go through our traditional Facebook Live. Does that sound good? Totally throwing Connor off on this one. So Connor, how was your week?
Good.
Yeah? Good,
Yep.
like as in good how?
Good. Completed. Today's Friday. It's almost over.
That is true. Today is kind of almost over. We still have like a good chunk full of... Connor's like, I'm gonna be out. He's like, I'm out soon. I'm just done. You actually went for a drive to go get us lunch, and it was super hot. I was like, get away from the office just for a little bit. Go grab us some food and some lunch, and he was hot and miserable.
Yeah, the idea of, take a break and go take a quick drive, like a half hour, whatever it was a great idea. It was a nice idea, but the reality was it's 90 degrees outside, and my AC doesn't work in my car, so,
Yeah.
And there's construction, so you couldn't go fast enough to get the wind, but it's okay.
The traditional confession is usually his wife always handles the food, so it was just an odd of normal pattern
and I screwed up the food too, so
it just
there we
is
go.
what it is.
Just leave me in the technical world. I got that handled. The food thing, daily life, not so great. So anyways.
So a couple things that we had come up this week, which I just want to touch base. For people, this is more focused towards small business or mom and pop shops, or maybe somebody that's running solo. Maybe you have performed your own website design or had somebody perform a website design for you. But we cannot express the importance of actually testing and checking your own contact form on your website. We got multiple contacts this week of contact forms not working in general, which normally there might be a fluke or something with an update or so forth.
Yeah, web hosting companies, they update servers all the time. Sometimes a PHP version might change, and then a script doesn't work as a result.
Absolutely. But then the other part too is what happens is if you don't test your contact form, you actually don't know if it's working. So we had multiple people that built their own designs, and they never tested the form to see if it was working. They just had people say, hey, I'm trying to contact you and you're not answering. So gosh knows how long that actually did not work in a website design. So it's
one of our clients, and I certainly am not going to
don't call
them
any
out.
names. No names.
I'm not going to do anything like
names.
that. But they made some changes to the website about 10 months ago, and that was the last time they got a contact form in.
Yeah.
And it wasn't something they noticed. They didn't not notice they weren't getting contacts because some other forms within the website were still working.
Yeah.
But this particular one and their sidebar wasn't working and hasn't worked. And now it is.
Yeah. So the thing is it's really simple to test. And then say that you get frequent contact forms on your website, right? Just make a habit once a month to go in and import your information like you're actually submitting a contact form. It's a good thing that we even do. If the phones aren't ringing as frequent as normal, we'll actually send ourselves a contact form, and believe it or not, the phones start ringing at that point. So it's like kind of a universal thing anyway.
Yeah, usually once a week, test that contact form. Just submit one just to make sure it's working.
And with this subject, something else came up over our 8 years. There's a habit that happens, and this is traditionally set up if you have somebody design your website or if you have somebody do your marketing. In a lot of cases, what they'll do is they'll actually put their own email address in along with the customer. Okay, that's cool. It's part of their process. That's what they want to do. However, what happens is a lot of times the customers don't know that these reps or web designers are actually getting copied on the business. We personally recommend to just have your internal email on the contact forms, unless for whatever reason you've created some kind of understanding of, hey, go ahead and send this copy off over to A, B, and C. what we have seen happen is there'll be somebody that does the web design and then they're trying to onboard somebody for marketing. So what they actually do is they use those contact forms to find out how much business the company's actually getting in. And unfortunately, they do the unethical thing of creating the pricing based on the volume of leads and sales that are coming in. So we've actually seen this happen, I don't even know how many times.
Sure.
But we just say, make it a habit just to not have other people on your contact form. Depending on your industry and your situation, you don't want that out there anyway. I personally don't know one reason why somebody else should be copied if they're not within the company. So just as a heads up.
If they're not on the sales team, or if the form is designed for technical contact and they're not part of your technical team,
Just don't.
Nobody else should be copied on it.
Right. Right.
It's great for testing, but after the testing, remove everybody else from your list.
Absolutely. So that was something that came up pretty often for me today. So what do you have? Do you have your notes?
I have a list of crap, just like last week. No.
It's not crap. It's good stuff. People love to learn, don't you? Yes, you do. Hey, Jessica, how are you?
The big item on my list coming up, once again, for the last 2 months, I've been talking about Gutenberg and the WordPress update that's
I feel like
happening.
that's the name of a cheese. I feel like that's the name of a future cheese, maybe. Is there actually a cheese called Gutenberg?
No, there's one called Gouda.
Gouda. It's a Gouda day.
Yeah.
It's a Gouda day.
Yeah.
That was a good pun.
Sure.
Come on. I'm not the only one that laughs at my own jokes.
So Gutenberg is named after the Gutenberg press, which was a printing press for printing books in the 1400s. Anyway,
That's good to know.
big thing coming out, Gutenberg is coming out. It's the latest update for WordPress, the 5.0. It's a big change. It's going to change everything about websites. It's going to change how you update your websites. It's going to change how we're going to design websites.
Right. Yeah.
We've already made some shifts and some changes based on that. But we'll discuss them later. Or
your
on
eyes keep
YouTube.
going. So just so everybody knows that's live, we're also recording on a video.
Yeah, there's multiple
and then
cameras
so his
going.
eyes keep shifting up and down. There's actually not anybody standing in front of us, just so
No.
you know. We're just trying to do double digits on this stuff.
So the big thing coming out, the WordPress 4.9.9.
Yeah.
That beta comes out the end of this month. So
I
that'll
like
be
watching
testing.
you talk.
Great. And then it's going to be released in the first week of October. So when that starts coming out, you'll need to definitely be testing your websites, test those contact forms.
Yeah.
And if you can, set your website up in a testing environment so that you can test it over there. But that update's coming out. It's got a lot of improvements. It's got site health improvements and speed improvements. How to optimize your website is all built in now inside of this new version.
Yeah.
So 4.9.9 coming out of beta at the end of this month, and then into full release then the first week of October.
Sure. Yeah. Cool. So you guys know that, if you're going to do updates on your own website, make sure that you, like he said, put it into a test environment so your actual website doesn't break. But then also, if you're going to manage your own website, do those pretty consistent. Like a lot of people have this view that WordPress gets compromised really easy, and it kind of has this like story wrapped around it, but really what it comes down to is the people that have the websites just do not update the plugins that they're utilizing for functions, and or if they utilized a plugin and then they found another one that was better, they never go back through and clean out the old plugins that are not used, and that just leaves a doorway open. Yeah, themes are, man, I tell you, like themes are great to work with, but like we've mentioned in previous videos, what happens is these developers have multiple different versions that you can choose from, kind of whatever your mood is, however you want your design and so forth. But all that stuff sits dormant inside your website, right? So like if you're using only 1% of that theme, like there's 99% that's just sitting there. And if you don't update those particular plugins, is what they're technically called, you could actually get into some serious problems with your website and just people being malicious. I mean, we don't hope that for anybody, but you do have to be very aware that it does happen and there is a chance for it. So why not be proactive about it and kind of take that step of actually putting some time and effort into your website. And If you need information specifically about a plugin management, feel free to reach out to us. We have a pretty affordable plan where we can actually handle that all for you. That way you just have a peace of mind and you don't have to worry about it. And then if you have any questions, you can call us with that contract monthly thing as well. One other thing that I wanted to talk about is we've been having a lot of different marketing conversations with businesses all around the U.S. Like I mentioned a couple of videos ago, this time of year, I don't know if it's back to school, people have their kids back in school, and so they feel like they can actually breathe and then they can do processes in their business. But there's been a lot more marketing conversations. And one thing that we're a little bit different, which I hope that I could just give this guidance to anybody that's considering doing marketing, whether it's TV, radio, SEO, email campaigns, whatever is your jam and whatever you're looking to lean into. One of our rules here is you just need to make sure that you have a goal in mind, and then you also know what the intention is by you doing it. Kind of the easier way to say it is, what is the objective of it? Like, I understand people will rattle off they want more business. I think everybody can say that. Oh, I'm going to do A, B, and C because I want more business, right? But we always go into a deeper level, and I think that you guys can too, and say, okay, what type of business are you wanting? Because there's a difference between getting leads, and then there's also a difference between getting phone calls for people that are not even qualified for what you're wanting to work with, that wind up maybe being PITA, which is a pain in the ass anyway. And so it's really important to try and figure out that structure right out the gate. I think anytime you're partnering with somebody, or if you're applying marketing yourself, right? I'm seeing a lot of people that are just like trying to jump into marketing and do everything and anything. And what happens is they wind up scattered and there's no goal or intention or objective of what they're trying to do, right? So it just takes some time and reflect on that. If you need help with that, just feel free to reach out. Like, we're pretty good at being able to dissect those different stuff. But if it's a particular client that you have that you're wanting, just create a persona, right? So a persona doesn't take very long to do. Just figure out like what's their pain, how can you fix their problem? You know what I mean? What is the typical language that they would use? And then all of a sudden you have a persona, right? And you can actually market that persona specifically. And a lot of times it's easier to put a face to the persona. So if you know an existing client or a person, put the name with them. And then so that way, whenever you're doing your marketing, whether it's social media or any of your other avenues, then that person's front of mind and you're actually having a conversation with that person, which will attract other like-minded people.
Yeah, it's definitely targeted marketing. And I mean, you're not looking to service everybody in a particular category. So if you take the category of shoes, for example, you don't have to market to everybody that has shoes. You can market only to people that are a size 14, for example.
Oh, that's a big shoe.
It's a big shoe.
Is that like that? Like
in women's terms or men's terms?
I don't know. Is there a difference? Is there a difference? Is a 14 women's not a 14 men's?
Well, we'll not...
Don't go there.
We'll
oh
not
gosh,
get into
Connor, no, you're all embarrassing me. I'm just gonna go over here and make some notes over here and doodle. Do you see me? I turned red. I don't turn red very often.
So the whole...
I turned red because I didn't know what you were talking about for a second.
Then you caught on.
And then I caught on. I'm like, oh my gosh, he's talking about naughty shenanigans.
So the big thing, the thing that I'm going to
I'm
on
super
this
embarrassed still.
is that you're not servicing, or you're not putting it out there for everybody.
I'm still super embarrassed.
Yeah. So we're not putting it out there for everybody, but if you're only targeting after people with size 14, it's a very limited persona that you're going after. But if everything on that page is geared directly towards that one client, you're going to do better in an overall scene.
Yeah.
But I got two things for you.
Oh, two things. Are they size 14?
They're not size 14.
I'm going to do size 14 all weekend. It's going to be great.
Yeah, it's going to be wonderful.
What two things do you have? Is it for me or is it for them?
Well, it's for everybody, I guess, but we'll start with you because we haven't talked about it.
Oh, God. Are you going to get down on one knee again?
No,
that would be
I'm not.
amazing on Facebook Live.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Okay, what?
So what I've got, it's something that I've created called the Minimum Word Challenge.
Oh, geez.
Okay.
I don't want to play this game.
So it's actually very simple, but essentially, and it goes into this whole persona end of things.
Meow.
Okay. So
Meow's not a word. It's a sound.
yeah. Essentially,
I was trying to win already.
It's to define what do you do, and in how few of a words can you describe what you do or the service that you offer. So, in general, you should be able to get it down to 3 or 4 words. Period.
Okay, so you give me an example.
I
Challenge accepted.
Yeah, I market websites. So if you go for an it's like a very shortened version of an elevator pitch. If you walk into a room and you're talking to a bunch of people and they say, what do you do? Oh, well, I build websites and I market websites and I help Google and I move people up the top of the list and blah, blah, blah. But if you can get down into I build websites, I market websites, and that's it. You don't need to go any further. I'm not saying the conversation's over at that point.
I think you would though. Like that's totally your jam. The reason why you like this is because you like that. You would walk into a networking event and be like, I build websites, and then complete silence.
And then just stop.
Yeah, so I don't think that game would be good for me because I like to storytell.
I understand that.
Yeah.
But when we're dealing with websites and you're dealing with content on your website, get to the point. Don't leave the point at the very bottom of the blog article.
Yeah.
Make the point in the very beginning. It's what they call in, journalists have done it for years. You're like anti this, aren't you?
I'm not anti,
So-
it's just different. Go ahead.
For years, it's a journalistic style of writing, and what it's called, it's inverted pyramid writing. Okay?
Okay.
And essentially, instead of the sales funnel being all the way at the very bottom, here's what I want you to do.
Yeah.
You put that at the very top, and then you get rid of all your BS kind of goes down throughout the article. But that first paragraph, you get your point home, and then you go on to explain your stuff. So it's your
Sweet.
hook and everything. So
Sweet.
yeah, so there you go. Marketing challenge or a 3-word challenge or whatever you want to call it. But essentially getting it down to
People
3
might have
or
to
4
practice
words.
on that. Like that's pretty intense. Like they might have to practice.
They might, but they shouldn't have to. You either know what you do or you don't.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And
I
then-
think sometimes people are like, it's kind of more complex than that though. Like you do way more than build websites.
Yes, I do.
Like building websites is a portion of everything that you do.
Yes,
Yeah. So how would you explain everything else you do in 3 to 4 words?
I could do it in 3 bullet points.
Well, it's words, not bullet points.
Well, you can't
That's
do
the
it.
challenge.
You can't do it in 3 words. Well,
See?
you
His own
can-
challenge he just
okay.
failed.
So you can if you're going after the persona. So we'll bring it right back to that. If I am talking to somebody that has a website, then I'm going to be talking marketing, or I'm going to be talking rebuild your website for marketing.
You have a person with $1 million that wants to spend it on marketing. 3 words, go.
I can help.
Well, guys, that would be an interesting little game to play to see if you can do that.
Or save your money, one or the other.
Save your money would be like not spending it at all.
Yeah, but you don't have to spend $1 million in marketing.
True. Unless you really want to.
Well, if you want to, I mean, go for it, but you're essentially just throwing money out there for the heck of it.
Yeah,
But
maybe. Okay, what was the other thing?
sponsor a NASCAR thing. I'm done. That's it.
You had 2 things.
Yeah,
This
one
is
was the 3-word challenge. The other had to do with the inverted pyramid writing style.
Oh.
And they tie
gotcha.
in together.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Therefore, I'm not taking up the entire video like I did last week.
The last week was hilarious. We actually had a lot of people ping us privately and be like, that was just the longest 20 minutes ever.
Do you want me to keep going? I do have something else to talk about.
Yeah, go ahead.
Adobe released an update. It's their September update. There was another 6 critical vulnerabilities. Flash is in there. Photoshop is in the middle of it. The PDF reader was in it. So make those updates.
Yeah.
And it's on both platforms. It's on the Mac and on PC.
Cool.
Windows.
Cool.
So-
Let's see. Another thing I have here is I actually have a lot of people that are getting into events right now, whether it's an individual location or a big corporation. Just like before with marketing, it's really important to establish, like, what do you want the goal for your event to be, right? You have to look really granular, like how many people do you want to attend? How much money do you want to make off of the event? You have to look and see what is it that you need to make, what is it that you want to make, and what would be an ideal world? Like, say all the stars aligned and you got everything you wanted, what would you want from there? And then from that point, like, I actually recommend doing this before you even consider doing an event, right? Because you need to figure out at the very beginning, what is the goal and what are you trying to accomplish? Because it's like, I think sometimes people just create events and then they don't think about it, and then they wonder why there was no attendance or why nobody showed up or why nobody was engaged, right? And then from that point, like, reverse engineer it and figure out how you want to market the event and the different information. What I'm seeing a lot on Facebook, and I'm just going to call it out, I see a lot of people creating events, and then they put the event out, and then they invite all their friends to the events, and then they just leave it there, and they're like, I don't know why I didn't get any attendance, right? So the thing about events specifically is, one, you have to consider a lot of people are super, super busy, right? That's not an excuse to say they shouldn't come to your event. But at the end of the day, you need to acknowledge that people have busy schedules, right? The other part too is you have to position your event somehow to where it resonates with whoever you're trying to get to attend the event. So again, personas help a lot with this, right? If you can build personas of who you're trying to target to come to your event attendance-wise, and then build that event around those personas, create the content around those personas, get it out to them as well, right? But here's where I see the disconnect with people that are creating events. Rarely do they ever actually reach out and pick up a phone and call somebody and tell them about the event, or make it like a genuine connection to say, hey, I've got this going on and I really thought of you and I thought that it might be ideal for you. I'm not sure what your schedule looks like or anything else like that, but just wanted to give you a personalized call to say, hey, I would really like you to attend this event. Now here's the trick. Don't get super possessive and sticky. If somebody says that it's not their jam and they're not interested, wish them best wishes and kind of move on, right? Not every event's going to be for every person, but here's where the fun part happens. When you actually put yourself out there and you start to make calls and you start to make connections, all of a sudden new business will start to come in, right? And then you get a new form of confidence, and then you get used to picking up the phone and calling, and you get used to telling other people about your event. And don't be afraid to tell strangers about your event as well, right? I think what happens is a lot of times people are relying really heavy on Facebook and the events. It's a really cool tool to use, right? But there's still that personalized connection that has to happen. And if you're not making that connection and the only time people hear from you is when you want something or when you have an event that's charging money, that's not a very good lovey feeling, right? So it's your responsibility and duty as a business owner or as a marketer or as a person that's in whatever profession that you're actually stepping forward and doing every day, that you make sure that you keep connections with people and just keep the energy going both ways, and don't just be like, I can't tell you how many people I see right now that just treat people on Facebook like a transaction. I get blasted with events all the time, get added to groups all the time, get added to parties for products all the time. I get it, I understand it, I get that it's a trend, but at the end of the day, you still have to do your part in building your network and then making sure that you like basically take care of it. It's like a plant. You need to make sure you water it and it continues to grow. Does that make sense?
It does, and on top of that, be aware that not everybody is on Facebook. So I have a good chunk of friends and clients and people that I work with. They're not on Facebook at all.
Right.
They live in the text world.
Yeah.
They live on the phone world. They don't do any social media stuff at all. Granted, they're hiding from everybody, I'm sure.
They're undercover.
I mean, their wives and everything are all online and doing that. But we have quite a few people and clients that I work with that are not on social media.
Right.
So even though you post your event on Facebook or you put it in your newsletter, which may or may not get into their mailbox, picking up the phone and saying,
that's
hey,
such
what's
a great
up?
point.
Or
even to like blasting out a newsletter. Again, you can watch the previous videos on newsletter specifically. Like you can let people know about this. But here's my deal, and this is kind of where I'm going to get into my groove and kind of step on a pedestal for a second. you can't say that your event didn't work if you actually don't market it and do your own work to get people in the door, right? Facebook's not here to get you attendance in the door. Instead, it's your responsibility and duty to go out and sell yourself, go out and educate people who you are, as well as the services and the value that you can offer, right? These tools that we use in the world right now, they're awesome tools to help us connect and amplify that. But at the end of the day, you still got to do your thing, right?
Yep.
Like you still have to put some meat in the bone. And I see a lot of people that are just throwing it out. And then when I ask about a follow-up, how did that event go? There's like 50 million excuses. But then whenever I drill down and ask, what did you do? How did you get exposure? What were these different techniques? And I get that you don't know, and you don't know what you know until you know it, right? I get that, but just think of how you've gone to events and what events that you said yes to, and who's emulating in the industry what you like, if that makes sense. If you go to an event and it's high attendance, don't be afraid to take the speaker aside and be like, hey, wow, I was super impressed by your attendance. Can you tell me what tips do you have if I wanted to do an event? You would be surprised at how many people will actually share this feedback.
And be aware that even though it's on social media and even though it's free marketing as such and that angle, not everything is free. You sometimes have to pay for sponsored posts, pay for AdWords, pay for the different things, or get your mentions into different places. So just be aware that not everything is paid.
Absolutely.
The other item on there is the Google My Business. There's a section there for posts. And these only last for 7 days. You put them inside of your Google My Business page. It'll be a link off to something, and it'll expire in 7 days. Less than 4% of businesses actually use it. It was a study that I was reading, I think it was last week I read it, but 9% of people have ever actually tried it, and less than 4% of people ever actually use
it.
the Google My Business posts.
Yeah.
That's a marketing avenue that we've used and had success
we got
with.
attendance. We got
Quite a
attendance,
bit.
like people that we were not even connected with on Facebook or LinkedIn or stuff like that. People found us through that. I think there was like six attendees maybe through that one post. And
that is free.
Just a couple things to think about on that. Also, to kind of wrap up this whole event thing and marketing thing. You know, it's great to do these different networking areas where you're getting booths and you're getting exposure. Again, I'm going to drill home. You have to figure out what's the goal and what's the objective, but try not to get into the mindset of, yay, this event sounds awesome. It's going to generate a lot of new business. Instead, do the work to figure out what needs to be generated and how it's going to be generated before you actually pay for the booth. There's a lot of people out there that are like, I'll go to the booth because I need exposure, but then like they don't have the conversation or have a sign-up form or have a credit card processing system so they can just swipe the payment and go. Like, you've got to find a way to make the process so easy for the people that are attending these booths that they can become a client instantly, because if you don't do that, you're actually leaving the power and control in their hands, and rarely ever will they actually follow up. Like, they'll get distracted on something else, especially if you're somewhere where there's multiple booths. It's like ADD, attention deficit disorder situation. Okay, cool. So what else you got on your list? Because you've
Nothing.
been,
We can
like,
just go ahead and wrap it up.
You've been like knee deep in research and data,
I have.
and like you're like kind of been back in your little hole for a bit. Yeah.
I've got certainly there's a couple of different things that have come up that I have to read, interpret, and then distribute. But you know, there's a whole study that I read regarding Wix and WordPress and CMSs in general and where they all rank. And so let me work on a blog post for that. I don't want to just, you know, I don't want to throw out answers and not have the information to back it up. I'd like to make my point. So
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Because you do a lot of research and you read a lot, and he gathers a lot of data, guys, like super a lot of data.
Yep.
So
Go ahead.
Go on. You're gonna brag.
Nope.
Go ahead.
Nope,
How many articles do you have
I'm
in your
good.
queue
I
today?
don't know. Doesn't matter.
You're going to tell the number, then you're like, no, I won't.
Nope.
Okay, so you do a lot of research and a lot of data, and I read a lot of books. And a lot of times I hear people like, how do you find the time? Like, how do you like, whatever things that they're going to say and do. So if somebody was interested in like researching and learning more about their industry or building it into their daily practice and or weekly practice for their business, what would you recommend for them to getting started?
To learn more about their industry?
Yeah, like, because you do a lot of different research, you read a lot of blog articles, you watch a lot of videos, but it all comes together and it's organized for you because you've been doing it for so long.
Sure.
So I'm saying, like, if somebody wanted to learn more about their industry, you may not be able to tell them specifically where to go, but are there tools that can help you organize it all? Is there, like, aspects that they can do, like, on YouTube to help them organize? Like, what would your tip and recommendation be?
2 programs definitely to get or
Yeah.
to use. One is called Feedly, Feedly.
Okay.
Basically, that is an aggregator. It goes. What are you doing?
I'm doing my eyebrows. I was like, Feedly. Feedly.
It's an aggregator. So
He's like, what are you doing?
It
Like,
brings
I was
in-
listening.
It brings in RSS feeds. So it's basically you enter in websites that you like, and it'll let you know anytime there's a posting there.
Oh, cool.
So there's a website that I used to use a long time ago, and it's great for different industries, and I use it for keeping on track of different things. Like
Okay.
I know nothing about concrete floor installations, but they have a section in there that talks about remodeling and floors in particular. So
Okay.
I follow that, and I can then update my clients as to what's going on.
Yes.
But the website is called All Top. So I believe it's alltop.com. But what they do is they compile a list of blog articles that are out there for different industries.
Right.
And then categorize it all. You subscribe to that category, and then as new posts happen, all of that comes in through your feed.
Oh, that's cool. That's
So
cool.
I use that. They've got a category on there for web design. They've got one on there for SEO. They got one on there for WordPress and security alerts and all that.
Sure.
So all of that comes into my feed along with all the other websites that I follow.
Right.
And then there's forums and whatever. So
And-
Feedly is by far it's free, and I live on that for hours a day.
Yeah.
The other one that I like and use on a regular basis, it's Google Alerts.
Oh, yeah. We talked about that before.
We did. So
I'm taking
basically,
notes.
with Google Alerts, you just enter in what phrase or what keyword it is that you're listening for,
Right.
and anytime Google finds a page
They
that's
say
talking
it.
about that, you will get a notification. You can get
That's
it.
cool.
Oh, you can get it right away, or you can get a like a daily
Like a
digest
timer?
or a weekly
Yeah.
digest.
Yeah.
You know, you can break them down that way. But yeah, those 2 things by far. One of the things I have in our Google Alerts
Sure.
is our business name.
Yeah.
So we have different variations of our business name.
So
But-
we know what's going on with
so
this.
yeah, if
business
anybody
name.
ever mentions Big Red SEO, then I know what website they're mentioning it on.
Yeah.
I can then go review that website and make sure that the stuff they're doing is in line with what we're talking about.
Correct.
But more important, and this goes in now into link building, I would now ask that website, hey, you've talked about us.
Yeah.
Please link to our website.
Right.
And 9 out of 10 times they will give you a link.
Yeah, that's cool.
So, but the Google Alerts, track that for your business name, track that for your products that you're wanting to market,
Yeah.
or the services that you're marketing. Those 2, I live on them all day.
That's cool. And then YouTube, because you do a
YouTube?
lot of YouTube videos.
Yeah, I do a lot of YouTube.
But don't they have like a way to like organize it in folders now on YouTube? Like you can follow somebody and put them into a category?
Yeah, well, you can subscribe and you can follow to different ones, but it's not as organized as I would like it to be.
Right. I don't think anybody can ever organize anything as nice
No.
as you would like it.
No, probably not.
That's like some high expectations for Conor
Yeah.
Tracy.
But it's kind of like my bookmarks. You know, I've got my bookmark bar and it's got
And you
folders.
have like 200 or 400 windows open every single moment.
Well, yeah, the first thing I do, so I've got a startup routine, and there's basically 15 websites that I go to every morning.
Yeah.
That I need open. I need my email open. I need my project management tool open. I need a handful of other websites and some tracking stuff.
Yeah.
So they're all inside of one folder inside the bookmarks bar. I right click on that. I say open all. It opens them all up in their own tabs.
Sure.
And now my day can start.
Cool.
But yeah,
Cool.
organization in a bookmark tab, and I do that with the videos.
Yeah.
So videos I find and I like, I'll put them into folders so I can watch them or delete them and ridicule them later.
He likes to do that. He likes to do that. That's really good information though, because that like helps people like figure out how to organize themselves, how to be able to get more proactive if they wanted to learn more about their industry, and or it doesn't have to be an industry. Maybe it's a hobby that they like to learn about, right? So like one thing that we noticed a lot, and maybe you have to add this to your Google alerts, maybe you already have it, but we're looking to do a train trip, right? So like a train, like choo-choo train trip. I don't know if there's another train trip, but anyway.
Isn't it funny that every time somebody talks about a train, you know, you talk to a kid and you ask them to make a train noise, and the first thing they go for is a steam engine and not a diesel.
Well, what's the diesel sound make?
Well, you'd purr like a kitten and then a honk and a horn.
Like that doesn't make
That
any.
sounded more like Chewbacca, like having a stroke than anything else.
Oh, stop it. Okay, so anyway, the thing is, like, we've been planning on us taking a train trip, right? A choo-choo train.
There we go.
Anyway, and so, like, for us to be able to find the information about specific promotions or different details, then we always look at that. I don't even know if you have that on alerts, but that would be a good thing to add.
I do.
But what we also noticed is in Omaha specifically, like, there's not very many people that are actually marketing their events very well, and we always find out about the events like the weekend after.
Yeah, so you know
So
how
we
like,
started adding them onto our Google alerts so we
Yep.
can get information.
like the news, for example. The news is really good at reporting what happened.
Yeah, after
but
the
they're
event.
very bad about telling you this thing's coming up this weekend,
Yeah.
or you know.
We experience that quite a lot.
Yeah.
So
And
if
it
you're in the
seems-
news industry, start posting your events.
Yeah,
sooner.
the stuff that's coming up, you know, the newspapers used to have it years ago that, you know, your weekend edition or your calendar edition, what's coming up for the weekend.
Yeah.
And they would document out everything that's happening. But unfortunately, they only tell you what's happening on that Saturday and that Sunday. And then they forget about the rest of the week and they forget about the following week. And, you know, hey, now I'm busy.
Yeah. So it's super cool.
And I can't join Bacon Fest.
Bacon fat. Oh, it's not my jam.
Chocolate
Not my
covered
jam.
bacon.
Not my jam. And also the butter, the fried butter too. I'm like, ooh, it's not my thing.
Have you had it?
I have not,
See,
and I
there you
just
go.
cannot.
Can't do
I
that.
mean, one time I was challenged to eat a whole spoonful of mayonnaise, and that was pretty difficult. But I did, and I won
Of mayonnaise?
I won $100. Yeah, that was pretty cool. Best $100 ever, because I really like mayonnaise. But a spoonful was pretty.
I did watch it.
It wasn't like one of those small spoons. It was like one of those industry kitchen spoons. You know, 14 feet, this big spoon. Anyways,
14 feet.
or instead of inches, feet.
14 foot, yeah.
Anyway, so do you have anything else to share today? We're kind of a little everywhere and all over
We're
the place,
all
but
over the
it's
place.
good. It's good. Does anybody have a question? If you have
I
a
got
question, put it in the comments.
one
That looks
additional
fun.
item. Yeah, doesn't it? One additional item, and it had to do with your blog posts and
Yeah.
how Google puts the date on them and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So we've been encouraging people to go back and modify your blog posts. If you've had blog posts on there for a couple of years,
Yeah.
maybe that information is out of date. So go back in there and tweak it and
Reevaluate,
update it.
yeah.
And you can put in a modified date on the blog post.
That's good.
And what we've seen in the industry as a whole over the last year
Yeah.
is people will just go in, change the modified date, add
yeah.
a couple of words, and then
Search
call it
engines
good.
are so much smarter than that.
Yep.
Like it's, yeah.
So Google,
Don't be lazy. Don't be
Google
lazy,
is
guys.
aware of that trick,
Yeah.
method, whatever. So it has to substantially change, and then Google will put the modified date, and they'll actually put that into the search results.
Yeah.
So what do you do? You're looking at yourself in my glasses again. Is that what you're
No, I
doing?
just think you're super handsome. That's all. Aww.
There we go.
Oh, goodness gracious. They're going to get that Connor now. That Connor. Okay, guys. I think that's about all we have today, unless you have one more thing. Do you have one more thing?
I don't have anything else unless you tell me you want something else.
When it comes to Connor, I always want a lot. He's just used to me asking for a lot. Hey, we really appreciate you tuning in for our weekly recap. If you have any questions regarding marketing, feel free to put them in the comments. We will get back to them super quickly, and or we might add them to the video next Friday. In addition, if you have experienced any value from this, feel free to like and or love this post. Also, within our page, there's multiple different videos from different weeks where we cover all different material regarding regarding web design, SEO, as well as marketing just across the board. And if you go to our personal pages, we also have videos there too from previously before we started doing the videos here. I think there was like 6, maybe 7, maybe 9. I'm not really
all
sure.
of them are up on YouTube. You can go to
Oh yeah,
youtube.com.
you can just go straight to YouTube and get the whole shebang. You
Do
can
a
have,
search for Big Red SEO,
I think,
and we're
like
right there.
a handful of hours of Tracy's, like back to back.
What was the video I just did earlier this week?
the parallel Google thing?
Parallel tracking.
Yeah.
Has to do with AdWords.
Yeah.
So I've got a video on there. It's like 2.5 minutes.
It's really good.
About how to implement that and
Yeah.
make sure it's done.
Yeah, so feel free to check us out on YouTube. I'll have Connor add the link below, so that way you just have a direct link. But in the meantime, we hope you have a great weekend, and we hope that you're able to enjoy the weather no matter where you're at. Hopefully it's good weather.
Yeah, hopefully you're not in
Yeah.
North Carolina getting hit by the
Hopefully.
hurricane, but you know.
Hopefully, you know.
If you are, you're probably not on Facebook Live right now.
But with that being said, we do wish you the greatest today, and thanks so much for following.
All right, guys.
Till next time. See
Have a
ya.
good one.